As John said, I've got the role of Chief Technology Officer at Accenture. I assume most of you know who Accenture is. We're a large professional services firm, so we've got 305,000 people working in 60 countries around the world. And what we do is, the way I like to simplify it is, we build a lot of really cool technology for enterprise clients, and we help our clients transform to use the technology more effectively for their business. So we do an awful lot of technology work, but we help them help our clients a lot on the transformation and the journey to adopt and adjust their businesses to use new technology, and that's what our business is all about. My role as CTO, just to give you some background, is I'm responsible for our research and development. We've got R&D labs around the world, responsible for our ecosystem and alliances. A lot of the work we do is with partners, small partners, startups, big partners, and responsible for those relationships. And we've got teams that work with venture capital and early stage startups all the way up through the big companies you'd expect, SAP, Microsoft, and Oracle, and many others, Amazon, many of the companies in the room. And I'm also responsible for the new businesses that we launch. So the cloud business, which I'll talk about today, is one of the areas that I was responsible for starting many years ago and running now. So I'll talk to you a little bit about what we see happening in cloud. Before I talk about hybrid cloud, though, I'll just give you a sense of the way we think about technology, and that'll give you a sense of how we see cloud fitting in and why we think cloud is so essential, and why we think hybrid cloud in particular is very important for the clients we serve. There's three macro trends that I talk a lot about and that we're focusing our investment around. So if I was to talk about where technology is headed in the big sense of things, I'd talk about three macro trends in technology. The first being that everything that can be connected will be connected in a very short period of time. We've got 3 billion people connected to the internet now. The rest of the planet, another 4 billion will be connected before too long. We've got estimates ranging from 20 billion to 100 billion to 200 billion other devices that'll be connected by 2020. And I'll just give you some examples of what that means, but rapidly anything that can be connected will be, which means any business process or any application you think about, you need to assume you have full ubiquitous connectivity because that's where the world is moving to very quickly. The second trend falling out from that is data, and the way I'd phrase it is that data is the currency of the new economy, much like natural resources and oil were the currency of the industrial economy that we're moving out of as we move into the digital economy. And I think that's a big statement, and it has a lot of big implications for our clients. But it comes out of the first trend, because if everything's connected, you have tremendous amounts of data with which to calibrate your business in a very different way. You need to process that data differently. You need to analyze that data differently. If you have something like a terabyte of data coming from every car on the planet every day, what will you do with that data, and how will you adjust your business accordingly? But that's the future the car companies are rapidly moving into. And the third trend, so everything connected, data, data is the currency of the economy. The third trend that we focus on a lot is automation and intelligence, going into cognitive technology and artificial intelligence. Because if everything's connected and you have all that data, we're beyond the ability of traditional business processes and humans to deal with the business and manage the customer relationships in the way that we need to. And so radically improved forms of automation, starting with DevOps and going beyond that in the way we run IT, and radically different technology applied to how we automate businesses in the form of moving beyond machine learning to true cognitive technologies and deep learning applied in reality in a deep way to business is, we believe, not the distant future, but the future today for our clients, and something we're working very actively on. So if you take those three trends, macro trends, that's the way we're investing, that's the way we're shaping our business, and that's the way we're looking for technology partners. And what that means is a very transformative world for our clients. So, and I'll just give you a few examples. So when we work with a company like Fiat Chrysler, who's one of our clients, we're working with them on connected vehicle services, leveraging an always connected platform to connect to their cars for real-time telematics in the car, as well as the infotainment services in the car for Fiat, which is gives them a lot of benefits. And one of the interesting things that allows Fiat to do is think of new services rather than selling cars that have information services for customers. Fiat can now think of a new service and a new business called Car2Go, which competes with Zipcar because they know the availability of every car, and they can turn every car owner into a shared economy participant by equipping them with a smart car that can participate in the economy in a very different way. And that's an example of how that technology comes together. Another example is a business we're in with General Electric. We're an industrial internet partner of GE, helping them build out technology for the industrial internet. And we launched several months ago an intelligent pipeline offering with GE targeted at the 3 million miles of pipeline around the world that are currently dumb pipes that have stuff going through them that break and leak and that you can't track effectively, and turning them with telemetry into smart pipes that you can manage them effectively, manage the flow, and get a lot of economic benefit both in maintenance, predictive operations, but also in trading and economics around how things flow through the pipes. So that's an example in a different realm. And then finally, there's a lot of benefit to people, and the connected technology is, in our view, not replacing people in most senses. It's automating things and augmenting people and allowing people to work more productively, in a more rewarding fashion and more safely. And an example of this is something that we call the Accenture Life Safety Solution that we're doing with a number of companies, including a very large oil refinery, where it equips every worker through a cloud architecture with telemetry and sensors and location-based ability, so that we know if a worker is safe to enter a certain site, if they're trained and have the certification to be in a certain part of the refinery. They've got the sensors on, so they know if there's noxious gases and chemicals, and they can be alerted to that and remove themselves from unsafe conditions immediately. And in the unfortunate situation where you do have an explosion or you do have an incident, you know where every worker is and you can get them to safety as fast as you can. And we're applying that in mines and other places as well. So it shows the power of the technology to be applied to people in the workforce and impacting the way people live as well as work, which is very powerful. So that's the kind of change we see happening, and we're investing a lot in all that change. So we came out publicly recently and said we invested $800 million in the last year, and we've been investing on that level in the last several years around technology capability to bring that world to life. And one of the big parts of that investment is around hybrid cloud, because I believe everything we talked about is only possible in the cloud. And we firmly believe in a cloud-first world, and that cloud is the way that our clients want to build and will build architectures going forward. But it won't be all in the public cloud. We believe hybrid cloud and hybrid IT is a key part of the future. For our clients for a variety of reasons, and there may be a transition in the degree to which you split the private and public over time, but we believe the two will coexist for a very long time. And one of the points of evidence I like to use is that we're selling more mainframe MIPS today than we were several years ago, and we're adding lines to the COBOL code base rather than retiring lines from the COBOL code base on a year in, year out basis, which shows the power of legacy technology to survive, which is maybe a different form of intelligence. So we believe, again, a cloud-first world. We believe it's going to be hybrid IT. We did a survey recently, and 75% of enterprise C-level executives told us they believe hybrid cloud is what they needed, but a much lower number, less than 40%, believe that they had the roadmap and the technology and the tools to do hybrid IT. So they want to do it, but they don't have the capability to do it. And that's why we've been investing, and Michael's going to share some examples later. You saw it on his screen earlier of some investments we've been making to help clients manage the hybrid IT world effectively. Cloud, in my view, has been a world of, it's been a tale of two clouds, kind of like a tale of two cities, where a lot of our clients have been deploying private cloud technology, they've been deploying public cloud technology, but the two haven't really had a way to connect and integrate together too effectively, which is starting to change as companies like Pivotal, who I think is here tonight, come out with technology like Cloud Foundry, which is a great way to bridge the gap, and as other companies innovate and pioneer new capability that really allow you to manage the hybrid cloud estate as a single estate, which we believe is what's the important problem to solve with hybrid cloud technology. So just to give you a sense of a few things we've done, and then I'll stop talking and we'll move on and show you a little bit of the technology. One thing, to give you a few announcements we've made recently just to show you the kinds of things we think are important around hybrid cloud and hybrid IT. Just today, I think it was today, no, it was yesterday, speaking of Pivotal, I mentioned Pivotal a minute ago. Pivotal announced Cloud Foundry Foundation as the open foundation to take Cloud Foundry forward. And we're part of that. We were part of their announcement, and we believe in Cloud Foundry as a piece of the infrastructure and a piece of the architecture that we think makes hybrid cloud easier and possible and more seamless. We made an announcement on Monday with Microsoft, which was a very big announcement for us, and we think a big statement on hybrid IT and hybrid cloud, which was a new announcement and putting together our Accenture Cloud Platform that Michael will talk about with Microsoft's cloud platform. And combining, something that really only Microsoft has. You could argue this, but Microsoft's one of the few companies, and maybe the only company, that's got a deep enterprise on-premise stack through Windows and WAP and Hyper-V and all the technology they've got in the data center, and they've also got Azure. And with we believe there's a very good opportunity, and we've been investing for 18 months with Microsoft to co-engineer a set of technology, including our Accenture Cloud Platform, to provide a seamless orchestration and management platform across the on-premise and cloud technology to give a true integrated hybrid environment. We announced work with AWS, with Amazon Web Services, a few weeks ago, which is similar in that we took our Accenture Cloud Platform and tied that into Amazon Web Services, and tied our migration capability into that so that we can move and migrate applications into the cloud much more faster for our clients, which is what our clients are looking to do. They want to move things fast into the cloud, and they need that type of migration capability in addition to the hybrid cloud management capabilities that we can offer. So there's a lot more I could talk about, but I want to keep the comments reasonably short and get on with the program. So I think I'll pause there and just leave you with that. And I think if I had to characterize it, we talk a lot about the cloud. It's a cloud-first world. We think it's essential, but it's important to keep in perspective how early we are in the migration to cloud. Based on research we've done, survey research we've done, and if you cross-check it with IDC and Gartner and everybody else, you come up with about the same data, which would say that only about plus or minus a point or two, only about 7 or 8% of enterprise workloads are in the cloud right now, and that number is projected to go up to 20 to 25% maybe by 2020. So even by 2020, which is a long way away, that's still out there a little bit, the vast majority of enterprise workloads will still be in traditional environments, which in my view really speaks to the need for us to do a lot more around the engineering of tying the new to the old, because you need the new technology and the new power to solve the kinds of problems I talked about earlier, but it's going to need to interoperate and integrate much more effectively than it can today with the traditional technology if our clients are going to be able to solve the business problems that they're looking to solve.